Before the slave trade, Africa's global golden age. They told us Africa's history began with chains. But the truth? Long before the slave ships, Africa was home to kings and queens, empires of gold, vast libraries, and global trade networks that connected the continent to the world. This was Africa's golden age, and it's time to reclaim it. Let's start in West Africa with the Empire of Mali. Mali rose to power in the 13th century, controlling gold and salt, two of the most valuable resources of the time. And at its height, Mali stretched across much of West Africa, ruling over tens of millions of people. Its most famous leader? Mansa Musa. Historians call him the wealthiest man in recorded history. In 1324, he made a pilgrimage to Mecca with a caravan so massive it shook the world's economy. 60,000 people traveled with him. Hundreds of camels carried gold. He gave away so much along the way that the value of gold itself dropped in cities like Cairo for years. But Musa wasn't just about wealth. He built mosques, funded universities, and turned Timbuktu into a city of learning, filled with libraries, scholars, and ideas that flowed into Europe and the Middle East. Timbuktu became a beacon of knowledge, where mathematics, astronomy, law, and philosophy thrived, and Mali wasn't alone. Next came the Songhai Empire. By the 15th century, Songhai was even larger than Mali, stretching farther than Western Europe. Songhai was an empire of structure, with a professional army, provinces ruled by governors, and a powerful navy on the Niger River. It became the center of West African trade, controlling goods from across the Sahara and beyond. Songhai's cities, like Gao and Timbuktu, bustled with markets selling salt, gold, ivory, spices, and even books. And here's the key. Songhai's wealth wasn't just material, it was intellectual. Its scholars studied medicine, astronomy, and theology. Manuscripts from Timbuktu still survive, covering everything from advanced surgery to the movement of the stars. But while West Africa was thriving, so was Southern Africa. Let's move to Great Zimbabwe. Great Zimbabwe was a massive stone city built between the 11th and 15th centuries. Its walls were 30 feet high and built without mortar, a feat of engineering that stunned European explorers when they first saw it. Inside, there were palaces, towers, and evidence of thriving trade. Archaeologists have found Chinese porcelain, Persian glass, and Indian beads, proof that Great Zimbabwe traded across the Indian Ocean. This was no isolated village. It was a global hub. From Zimbabwe, let's head east to the Swahili coast. The cities of Kilwa, Mombasa, and Zanzibar thrived as trade ports. They connected Africa to Arabia, India, and even China. African merchants exported gold, ivory, and iron, while importing silk, spices, and ceramics. These cities blended African, Arab, and Asian influences, creating cultures rich in art, architecture, and language. And what about exploration? In the early 14th century, the Malian king Abu Bakr II is said to have launched entire fleets into the Atlantic, seeking lands across the ocean. Arab chroniclers recorded that he handed power to Mansa Musa before setting sail with thousands of men. Did they reach the Americas? We may never know for sure. But indigenous oral traditions in the Americas speak of dark-skinned visitors arriving long before Columbus. This shows us one thing. Africa was not isolated. It was connected. It was global. Now here's the question. If Africa was so rich, powerful, and advanced, why don't we hear about this today? Because history was rewritten. European colonizers needed a story that justified conquest. They painted Africa as primitive, savage, and uncivilized. They downplayed the empires of Mali and Songhai. They denied that Great Zimbabwe was built by Africans, instead inventing myths about lost white builders. And they erased Africa's role in global trade, science, and exploration. By starting African history with slavery, they stripped away the memory of this golden age. But memory can be restored. The truth is simple. Africa has always been central to human progress, From the world's first humans to the world's greatest empires, Africa has been a wellspring of innovation, wealth, and knowledge. The story of Africa is not one of poverty, it is one of power. And here's why this matters. When you know your ancestors were kings, scholars, and builders, the narrative of chains can't define you. When you know Africa helped spark global civilization, you see your place in the world differently. And when you reclaim history, you reclaim identity. This is what Sankofa means, to go back and fetch what was lost, so the future can be brighter. Before slavery, there was greatness. Before oppression, there was glory. Before the lie, there was truth. This is Africa's golden age, and this is Sankofa Secrets. Subscribe now and join us as we uncover the history they don't want you to know.